Hi, I'm Shauna Shanks, author of A Fierce Love, and I'm going to be the keynote speaker for this year's fourth annual Hope Rising Conference for Betrayed Mates on October 2nd. As a betrayed spouse myself, I know that healing is absolutely possible, and I'm so excited to get to encourage you guys this fall. In October 2013, my husband came home one day out of the blue and asked for a divorce. In the next weeks that followed, I found out that he was having an affair and he had, at that moment, completely mentally checked out of our marriage. In the months that followed, I didn't have much hope that we would be able to salvage our relationship. When I first found out about the affair, I wanted to die. We have three little kids, and it was actually coming right up to our 10-year anniversary. And so I was just fumbling into this dark hole, and I did not know that I was ever going to be able to come back up from it. In desperation, I turned to my Bible and I found 1 Corinthians 13, which is the love chapter. So love is patient, love is kind, it doesn't envy, it doesn't boast. And growing up in church, I knew those scriptures my whole life. I've heard them over and over. But in this season of being so hurt and heartbroken, I saw them in a whole new different light. What the love filter in First Corinthians did, it was like a roadmap for me. It was a starting place. This is where you start. And I didn't have to worry about 5 minutes from now or 5 months from now or 5 years from now, but just immediately I can be kind and I can show love to this man who's not giving me anything in return. In my book, I talk about the love filter also. It changed my perspective of love and it changed my idea of love. So before I had one idea of what a marriage was and what love was, but in doing these disciplines every day and working through the list of things in the love filter, I realized that it's much deeper and it's much crazier than what I thought. What I found in those verses was a love that was not based on feelings. It was a love like I'd never known before, because rather than it being an overflow of love because someone else was doing something for me, it was changing who I was and empowering me that I could love somebody regardless of what they were doing to me. And as a woman, I like lists, I like things to be done in order. And at the beginning of the betrayal, everything felt so out of my control. I had no control over my husband wanting me, or he was not working on trying to save the marriage with me. But if all I had to do that day was to be kind, then that was the one thing that I could focus on. And at the end of the day, I could check that off my list. And that's what First Corinthians became for me, was a list. It was like a to-do list. At the very end of First Corinthians 13, it talks about endurance and hope. And those began to be my keywords. So every day, despite how my husband was acting or the fact that he was not working on the marriage alongside with me, that I still had the ability to hope and I could still endure. And those things just really began to be my motivation in that season. The love filter helped me to not only kind of control what I said, but it also helped me realize that I have control over my thoughts and what I'm allowing to myself to dwell on every day. There's actually a scripture in the Bible that talks about guarding your thoughts and taking them captive. And I also started working on this discipline because when you're in a situation where you have been betrayed by a spouse, it is so easy to replay those images in your mind over and over. And it's so easy to fall into this rabbit hole of self-loathing and comparison and all of the things that we torture ourselves with that are normal in that situation. When I realized that I could not think two thoughts at once, it gave me my control back, and it was empowering for me. And it was very important to keeping myself whole and mentally present for my kids and mentally present for my well-being and my own wholeness. I was already learning discipline with the love filter, with being kind and being patient and all of those things. And so when I learned that I could take my thoughts captive, that was just another discipline that I added to the mix, which was very healthy for me because, again, like it rerouted my attention rather than being on my husband and all of that worry and spiraling out of control. And it rerouted that energy back to myself and things that were in my control. In the beginning, I was desperate to get my husband's love, but at the end, I realized that that wasn't the make all break off for me because I was already loved by God. And even if our marriage in the end, we didn't get back together, I could still come back from this and I could keep myself whole. I told my husband if he continued to divorce me, that I was going to be the best ex-wife he ever had because I was still going to love him this way. And in the end, it changed who I was and who I was becoming. And I was happier with the person that I was, regardless if my marriage worked out or not, because I was free and I was empowered. It's really encouraging to know that you can still love someone and you can still do all of these things no matter what the future holds. Join me on October 2nd, where I'll be talking about the love filter inspired by 1 Corinthians 13 and other strategies that I use to save myself and save my marriage. I hope to see you there.